everyone, welcome back to Primetime Crisis. It's time for some more Gotham. I'm Captain Logan.
I'm Eric.
And today we're talking about the third episode of the season. It's called Look Into My Eyes, and we've got Mad Hatter.
We do have Mad Hatter.
And I was not stoked or anything about Mad Hatter, but boy, I am now. I really like him.
He's great.
Yeah.
And a really different take on him.
Yeah, that I haven't seen before, but that I could totally see, there's a lot of validity to it. I could totally see this take being a comic book take. This could have been the 52 Mad Hatter.
Yeah, it could have. It's, I feel like Mad Hatter's a character we a lot of times don't know what to do with. Making him a hypnotist makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and it's cool that we still have a little bit of the Alice in Wonderland thing there, but with the sister as opposed to with him. He doesn't seem to be really into that book or anything. But that could be a development later, I suppose.
There was stuff where I wasn't sure if it was audience winking or, intentional, like that he brings tea.
Yeah.
And his hat seems to be his costume. He only wears it when he, shows up and is he being evil.
But, of course, he has a very Mad Hatter-esque suit and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's just that we're in a world that has a lot of, period dress from various time periods. Mm-hmm. And so, this guy can look like he's out of the 19th century and fit right in, even with all of the 1940s gangster stuff, just because there's so many different time periods represented in the wardrobe. Mm-hmm. So he does have a costume, but then so does everybody else in this show.
But the hat itself, he only wears when he's being evil.
Yeah.
So, that and the tea.
But, a pocket watch is a thing that Mad Hatter usually has.
Yeah.
And so, I'm just saying, it is a whole get-up. But yeah, I thought that actor was phenomenal.
He's great. He's too good for the show.
Yeah, and we've had that with some other villains. There have been... We're back to really inspired villain in an otherwise really bizarre, I don't care about anyone kind of show. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that kind of keeps me watching the show, is, that unpredictable nature of it.
And sometimes they do have cool ideas for villains.
Yeah.
Not always, but sometimes.
And you just wish that they could be used in something where the characters had more dimension and you cared more about them. Mm-hmm. But then, again, it's kind of the thing that keeps you watching, and it's this bizarre melodrama, as we keep saying.
Well, and this
really silly soap opera.
Well, and this at this point doesn't matter with the show, but we do have another character where he's going to be 50 by the time Batman shows up.
Mad Hatter could be an older guy.
Yeah.
But sure, you're right. Or he could be a proto-Mad Hatter. It seems like at this point, nearly every villain could be a proto-version of that villain.
This is
Except for Catwoman, probably.
But he is named Jervis Taj.
Well, yeah, but we've been talking about how Jim Gordon might not be the real Jim Gordon. You've always got you've always got the loophole of if he has a son, he can name him his own name. Because his name is Jervis Tetch doesn't really mean anything.
That's true.
But I'm with you. This probably is the real Mad Hatter, and clearly a guy that they've cast young on purpose. He looks like he's in his early to mid 20s.
Yeah,
he's a young guy.
But that's a criticism I feel like you can lob at almost every character and casting choice in this show.
Sure, and at this point I don't even know if it's a criticism, because is this a Batman origin show, or is this just a reimagining of Gotham with a kid, Bruce Wayne, that is so young he just can't be Batman, and so this is not a Batman show?
Yeah, it's kind of like they are just kind of doing... They're not doing Gotham Central, but that's kind of what we're doing at this point, is just a show about kind of the cops in Gotham. And we have Bruce Wayne because we have to.
I think we're just doing a show at this point about the aesthetics of Gotham. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, and there's some cool ones. That shot when he's in the hallway,
it's unbelievable.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. All the stuff on the roof looks really good.
Yep.
We always talk about the aesthetics of the show and how pretty it is. Mm-hmm. And I'm always leery about it because I always feel like I'm just praising superficial stuff. And, a series should have substance, but again, as I keep saying, if it's intentionally just this goofy black drama, or black comedy, mm-hmm. then, it can get away with more of that. And more as we go along, I'm accepting it as that, and I know we keep talking about this, but especially just as it continues, with the Penguin running for mayor and all this, it's just so much darn fun.
Yeah,
it's
Penguin's running for mayor, by the way.
Yeah,
and that's so much fun.
Yeah, oh boy. So this is one of the two big things that comes from 60s Batman that we keep using everywhere. And I don't know if Penguin running for mayor or Penguin stealing the Batmobile are things that happen in the comics that they borrow for the 60s show or not. But once we do it in the 60s show, we keep homaging that all the time. Batman Returns does both.
But I don't know if it's intentional in Batman Returns.
No, it has to be.
You think so?
The fact that they do both.
Okay.
It has to be. Like, it really seems like... And I know what you're probably thinking. Well, yeah, but Tim Burton knows the 60s show.
Oh, does he?
Is the thing, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Because he talks about how he grew up with it and how he likes that show, but he was trying to do something that was very different from that. Mm-hmm. And he talks about that in his 89 commentary.
Oh, okay.
And
I wonder if he mentions the 60s show in the Returns commentary.
Me too, because I haven't listened to it in a long time. But I'll have to go back to that at some point. But anyway, no, it has to be intentional. It seems like those are the two things he knows about the Penguin. Besides the fact that usually he's supposed to be a sophisticate or a mock sophisticate, and that he pretends to be high society and he's educated and all of that, and because like in Returns he kind of knows that, but he's getting away from it. He's kind of the sense I get. But like the fact that two of the most memorable things that happen in the 60s show with the Penguin are he runs for mayor and he steals the Batmobile. There's no way that that's not intentional. And obviously it's intentional here. And I was very surprised that we didn't do it last season when we were dealing with Galavan running for mayor. Running for mayor. And everybody thought Penguin was going to run for mayor there. I predicted it. Didn't happen. Now we're finally doing it. It's kind of more fun that he's running against the mayor we've had the whole time, because I like that guy.
Yeah, I like him too.
And I'm glad he's back and around again. I couldn't remember if he'd been killed off or not. I was surprised to see him last episode. Or first episode, I forget.
No, yeah, I don't know.
Of the season, I can't remember.
We've seen him in the season.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay, he's still around. So many characters keep track of in the show. It's kind of tough. But
there's
anyway,
a lot of characters I have... Is Firefly dead or alive? I don't know.
I can't remember. Yeah. Anyway, so Butch...
is completely blindsided.
He's totally oblivious to everything. There's this great shot of him when Penguin announces that he's running for mayor, and it's like the end of his speech, and then it's like, so I'm running for mayor, and Butch has this look on his face like, oh, okay, so I guess we're doing that now. Like, he just didn't even tell him. It's hilarious. Well, and then he has to explain all these things to him afterwards, and you're like, why didn't he have this conversation?
Well, and it makes it seem like it was a spur-of-the-moment thing. Like, Penguin didn't necessarily know he was going to do that till he got there.
He's driving around the block, and he goes, you know what? I know, I'll run for mayor!
I'm going to clean this city up good. But then he takes him to, like, his office with his staff with banners already.
Yeah, that's a good point. Hey, how did all that happen without him knowing? He used to run the city. Yeah.
What you doing, Butch?
Yeah, what's he up to?
He used to be somebody.
I want to see that. I want to see Mayor Goldie Wilson
running against the Penguin.
So that whole thing is really fun. Penguin breaking the Riddler out of Arkham is just the greatest thing.
Well, and I've been waiting for that to happen.
Well, and we knew it would. It's just the way it's executed. Yeah. It is so great. Because you get to the end of the episode, and you lost it when he pops out of the car. He's just like, hey, it's me! He's a cartoon character!
He's so excited!
He's so funny! They're best friends. That is an inevitable breakup that will be much sadder than
any of the real relationships.
And none of those are sad. Like, I have never cared about really anybody. I mean, we've only had two people really that Jim Gordon's been with. I've never really cared. I'm not going to care with the inevitable breakup with Jim and Valerie, just because we can't let anybody stay together on TV. Well, and so you always know what's going to happen, and we always play it for cheap drama, and I just don't care.
Well, like, they're not together.
We get together too fast. No, but they will be. That'll be an inevitable breakup. That'll be an inevitable get together and breakup. We're seeding it. We're on our way. First episode, they meet. They have some romantic tension. The second episode, they're hanging out together a lot. They start having a lot of innuendo and or just banter and stuff. Third episode, she kisses him and says that was fun. Next episode, they'll be engaged. I mean, like they're gonna be, not really, but. No. That is clearly your like standard love interest, especially because we have to have the double love triangle. So Lee is dating someone, which we'll talk about, and he's already dating or about to date someone, but is really sad about Lee, and that gives him a reason to pursue Valerie harder. You know that's where we're going.
Well,
you can't question that.
I think it might be Love Square.
Well, okay.
I think we are once again going to play with Barbara. Because...
Yeah. Or do you think we're going to get into a place where, like, he wants to date her and can't for some reason? But, like, just the fact that they kissed and she's like, that was fun. Yeah, they're dating next episode.
Because with Barbara... Okay. So, Mad Hatter gives the... And maybe he's lying. But Mad Hatter gives the standard explanation for hypnotism of you can't do anything you don't actually want to do deep down.
Yeah.
And then he says, fall madly in love with me. And... the other chick reacts to that.
Yeah.
Even if he's lying, I think that's sowing seeds that's going to break up their relationship, and she's going to think that Barbara's still in love with
Jim.
With Jim.
That's a good point, but that whole thing was just...
And then she went nuts.
But that whole thing wasn't really about Jim Gordon. That was just, she's not good with... Okay, so maybe you're saying it's a callback to that.
I think it is setting a seed in her mind that Barbara is willing to move on.
Well, because she raged out about Lee.
Yeah.
Right? Like, didn't she kidnap her last season?
Yeah.
Wasn't there a whole thing
with
that?
Yeah, that's the thing that happens.
So, yeah, you're right. But we don't need foreshadowing for this.
No.
This is what she does.
No. That's not what I'm saying. That's all... Like, I think she was cool with that part where she was going to murder that guy.
Right.
Where she was going to murder that guy. That's not what I'm saying is sowing seeds of doubt. It is the fact that Jervis Tetch says you can only do things that you want to do, and the idea that she still wants to fall in love with someone.
Right.
I think that's what's going to get at her.
Yeah.
Not that she'll murder anyone because she's jealous. Because
we know that.
Yeah.
And
that was the best scene.
And also so we know what scene. Oh, just that she breaks a bottle and comes after him.
Well, because the setup is you're in love with me, and he goes, but what if I don't love you? What if I'm with... And as he's talking, she gets a bottle, breaks it, and brings it to his neck.
So 2 questions. Why did he do that? What was he leading up to in his act?
I don't know.
Is a question. And the other thing is, as you said while we were watching it, why would she allow herself to be hypnotized?
She knows that he has this power, and she says, like, can you do it to other people? Or can you do it to anyone?
It's convincing, and you think that she's saying that because she's going to use him to do something.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm assuming where maybe that's still going.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because he gets shot, but he's not dead.
Mm-hmm. But it's very strange that she would let herself be on stage, and there's no lead up to that. We just cut, and she's on stage.
So we just watched this. I haven't had time to process it, so I'm going to ask you a question,
okay,
which is going to be me just feeling this out and trying to figure something out. What exactly is he up to besides trying to get back to his sister?
I don't know, because I was thinking about this because when...
he seems like he's just doing things.
When he first hypnotizes the guy, I thought it was going to be the Worry Men thing, where he was... They're called the Worry Men.
That's what it is, okay.
He was going
Batman Animated Series.
Yeah, Batman Animated Series. There's an episode of Batman Animated Series where Mad Hatter gives rich people these little things called Worry Men, and it brain controls them into giving... him their money. And I thought that's what he was doing, because he picks a wealthy man about town looking guy and whispers something to him, some kind of code word. He says something like being up in the tower
that he uses in the phone.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, okay, you do want him to have at least read and use Alice in Wonderland a little bit for his whole thing, because there's so many references to it.
But, so I was thinking, okay, that's what we're doing with Mad Hatter. He's going to hypnotize rich people and take their money. But then he shows up, and I don't know what he does with the guy. It cuts, and then his wife comes down, and then he knocks Mad Hatter knocks the guy's wife out and says, get rid of her, and then kill yourself. And now he's set up in a nice house.
And then he's just hanging out there, and maybe that's just him setting himself up in Gotham.
I don't know.
Because he's doing his magic show to get by, he claims. And then maybe this is
But he has a huge crowd for the environment that he's in.
Mm-hmm.
They even comment that, he's such a big draw.
Yeah. And if he's, brand new to town, I don't know why he's that big of a draw.
Yeah.
Is there really any discussion about it? Because, he's been looking for his sister, so he's got to be, jumping around. But then, why would he have been anywhere besides Gotham before? Because doesn't he know that she was in Arkham?
Yeah.
So that's where you'd be looking, right?
And we're unclear whether he was in Arkham.
Because he has a power, too.
He has a power, too.
And I wondered about it at the beginning. Like, I wasn't for sure that he had superpowers. Because this is Gotham. I'm not going to put it past this show to just have a guy hypnotizing people that, without superpowers, can get them to balance on a chair like that.
Yeah.
Just because it's, like his explanation of like, it's what they've always wanted to do to, like, not be fearful and... You know, that guy, like, I wouldn't put it past the show, but his eyes change. So he clearly has something, and we haven't had any explanation about superpowers beyond Hugo Strange, and we know that his sister got her powers because she was experimented on by Hugo Strange.
The question is, which one of them he was reading the book to, if he was in... Because when he's reprogramming people in Season 2...
We see that book.
We see Alice Wonderland, and he's like, this is a good idea. So I guess theoretically, he could intentionally be doing the Mad Hatter thing because it's programmed into him.
Oh, that's interesting.
And maybe she's not even his sister.
Or
like maybe that might be a line.
Yeah. I'm not really sure where all this is going.
No, I like that.
Yeah, me too. But it could end up being really lame by the end.
No, it will be.
No, not necessarily. I mean,
name one plot thread in the show that has ended well.
As far as...
Other than Penguin.
No, as far as... Well, and that's... I mean... That's not... You know, he's still there. You know, well, plot threads with Penguin, I get it. But usually we just kind of start over somewhere, or... That's the problem with that character, is we just keep kind of resetting it. But... Why can't I remember which character this was? Was it toward the end of Season 1? There's a... Is it Scarecrow? Scarecrow was pretty good.
I didn't like Scarecrow.
Oh, you didn't?
No, because that was in their big thing of just like everything... coming from something else, so Scarecrow's dad was Scarecrow.
Yeah, but...
That is their origin for that character.
I know, but I remember thinking that relationship was kind of interesting, and I kind of liked how it ended, and it's been a while since I've seen it, so I can't really talk about it super intelligently right now, but, like, that was one I remember me and Steve both kind of liked okay.
Well, and...
I think.
And I loved when Peter Petrelli showed up and made Barbara realize that she's been a crazy psycho killer this whole time.
Yeah, but that whole, like... 50 Shades of Grey thing and all that.
Although,
like,
he
wild and insane.
He was another example of somebody that was way too good for that show.
Yeah.
Which is weird, because I don't think he's like a great actor, but he was really good in that.
I like their Mr. Freeze, but I still question why he was a murderer before he was crazy.
And why they did the flip of Mr. Freeze instead of having no emotions, he has all the emotions all the time.
Yeah, that's a whole thing.
But
anyway, so yeah, I mean, there's a really good chance that this whole thing just goes south very quickly. But I like the actor. I like the initial take. There's a lot of concept over execution in this show. There's also a lot of... It's almost weird to say, like, execution over concept, but kind of, right? Like, sometimes we have that. I guess I just mean, again, in production values and things. Crow fan Bruce Wayne now has a name.
Yeah.
His name is 5.
I think it's 545. Isn't that what he said? He's like 545. Everyone calls me 5.
I think it has maybe a letter in it. I can't remember, but it's everybody calls me 5, and so he's 5. He's like 7 or 9. He's 5, and he's gonna. Which I mean, I should have expected this, and for some reason I didn't.
Well, and it's kind of
he's gonna try to be. He's gonna try to stand in for Bruce Wayne and, like, you know, take over his life and stuff.
I know you haven't watched Stranger Things yet. There's a character named 11 in that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's unfortunate for this show
really?
that Netflix just had a big hit show with a character named after a number.
Yeah, but that's a thing we do in a lot of things.
That was experimented on by, like, mad scientists and things.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But it's either going to be scientists experimenting on you, or it's going to be you're a government agent and they've given you a number and taken away your name, right?
So here's the question about that name.
Mm-hmm.
Is he one of many experiments, or is he one of many Bruce Waynes?
Either is possible. Oh, wouldn't that be crazy?
Because
we had like an army of Bruce Waynes.
Because all the freaks we've seen?
I don't know why you would make a bunch of Bruce Waynes.
Like, why wouldn't you make a bunch of Bruce Waynes?
Because he's a 13-year-old kid. What do you do with that?
I don't know.
Like, what's your end game? But I don't know why
Screw around with 13-year-old girls' brains? Make them feel bad?
That's Hugo Strange, though, right? Is he just does stuff.
Yeah.
He just keeps doing all these random experiments on people.
Because I kind of like the idea that he's going to mess with Catwoman, and, like, that is what he's designed to do. It's just to break 13-year-old girls' hearts. I kind of want an army of Bruce
break
Wayne.
Bruce Wayne's heart. Like, what if that's the
Yeah.
whole thing? And that would be
Yeah.
unfortunate if that was what he's programmed to. I doubt that that's a programming thing, though.
Yeah, no, I don't think it is. But
I think it's him trying to find himself, and he's got... I mean, this is potentially interesting. It's Gotham, so as you always say, it won't be. But
it hasn't been.
But it's potentially interesting that we haven't done anything with this yet, where you have a guy as convenient as all this is, where you have we have a kid who has no identity, doesn't know who he is, except that he knows that he was made in a lab and basically a petri dish, and he goes around looking for some kind of life, and he finds one in the person he was based on, and now if he could only get rid of that kid and convince everybody that he's him, he has a ready-made life, and he has riches, and he can do anything he wants to. That's potentially interesting. Like, it would be very difficult for anyone not to go for that if you had it and you had nothing to lose.
It's the Prince and the Pauper if the Pauper's a murderer. And the Prince doesn't, and the Prince likes being Prince. So it's not like that story at all. This episode in particular, I mean, this show does a lot, but it's Dickensian in its level of coincidence and...
He means Charles Dickens.
Yeah, isn't it? Wouldn't that be Dickensian?
Well, sure, but no one's going to know what you're talking about when you say that. It took me a second, and you mentioned Charles Dickens when we were watching that. I've never heard anyone...
It's Dickens' level of coincidence
I think
and
if
convenience.
anyone ever says that, it's liable to be Dickinsonian before it's anything.
Dickinsonian? Okay.
Yeah, I think people would be more likely to say that, but even that I would force you to say, we're talking about Charles Dickens.
It's Charles Dickens' levels of convenience,
I almost looked at you and I was like,
coincidence,
what literary book have I not read that you got that out of? I don't know what that is. Anyway, yes, absolutely. The conveniences mount, and they're hilarious. You want to list some of them? Because it gets great. So there's the Bruce Wayne thing, where, and the big thing that, well, several things, but the big thing initially is, because I was reminded about this because they mention, we met on a roof. So he gets
on
out.
On a roof, of course.
Of course, he gets it. Now, to be fair, it is a few months, but... So it's maybe a little bit less convenient than I was giving it credit for, but it's a big city. What are the odds that he just happens...
a couple of months?
I think there's months in between.
In between what?
Well, remember... Well, like, Lee has had to have time between last season and this season.
I don't think they meet in season 2. Isn't the stinger of season 2 him getting off the bus?
I didn't say they do.
Oh, I thought you were saying it's been months since they met on the roof.
No, that's not what I said.
Okay.
I said maybe it's not as convenient because it's been months since we saw him that he meets Bruce Wayne. Or that he sees Bruce Wayne on that roof.
Yeah.
But even still, it's a big city. What are the odds?
Yeah.
That he would just happen to see himself like that. I think what would have been way less coincidental would be for him to see his picture in the newspaper or something.
Yeah.
And then have him go to the house. Like do that. There's ways to do it.
Yeah, well, and he's following...
I would believe it.
He's following Selina. He's kind of got a crypto freaky thing for Selina, I think.
Mm-hmm. But that's convenient too. That he just happens to be going after... Like, that's even worse.
Yeah.
You know, because if he saw himself, of course he would be going after himself, but he could have easily, jumped onto any other hot chick close to his age and gone after her, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a thing.
She is simultaneously the easiest and the hardest person to find.
Yes.
Whenever the script wants it. Because she's just going up a ladder and Jim Gordon walks by. He's like, hey, Selina. Like, that's where she hangs out. Like, she's always on that ladder.
Oh, and side note, what homeless hairstylist is doing her hair?
Yeah.
You made that point while we were watching it.
Yeah, because we were talking about how she has a perm, and I was like, well, she's homeless.
And you mentioned how she looks just like the Batman Returns version.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool, and she looks really good with it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And, like, that's more viable in Batman Returns because of the time period. Like, people were getting perms.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah, my mom had that hairstyle.
But...
As that film was coming out.
But still... She's homeless.
Yeah,
who is she getting to do her hair? Because it's immaculate every time.
And there's a lot of hairspray. It's even immaculate when they're sitting around a fire.
And she's never dirty. Did you ever notice that? This homeless girl, never dirty, always like designer clothes.
Yeah, and explain to me why she never is, like, she is... That's her superpower, right? It's like Tick's nigh invulnerability. Like, she's nigh...
Or Moon Knight's power to not get dirty in his white costume.
Yeah, but that's a stylistic choice. And this may be too, because of course this is not a realistic show and it doesn't care about that, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But it's kind of fun to just make fun of it for that, but it's really not a problem for the context of the show, because the show is so out there.
It doesn't bother me every time she shows up.
But you know what's funny? Poison Ivy's always dirty because she's a plant person.
Yeah, that's true.
She won't be now that
Earth tones, people. Earth tones.
She won't be now that they've aged her and she's developing into a woman. Like, now she'll be...
Yeah, she's not gonna be dirty now.
She'll be all sensual and Poison Ivy-ish, but anyway.
Well, she might be kind of dirty. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because if they play her the same way, like maybe she does, at least initially, just try and kind of live how she was living before.
But eventually, they make they.
Oh, she doesn't stay that way.
They'll sexy her up, right?
Yeah. Well, they already did.
Yeah, but I mean, like, where she knows it.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But anyway, I feel like there was something else I wanted to mention about Selina. Maybe that's it. So,
well, Bruce can do her hair now. Crowfan Bruce can do her hair now.
So, he cuts his own hair.
Yeah.
And I gotta give him this. I thought that cosmetology was gonna be a superpower of his. I thought that it was gonna be built into his programming from the genetic engineering, that he could cut hair, because he's like, oh, I gotta pretend I'm Bruce Wayne, I'm gonna cut my hair. And
he just makes it shorter.
It actually looks bad, which is great. I was surprised by that.
Yeah. And I'm kind of curious how they did it, because it doesn't look like a wig.
Yeah.
Because it's not much longer than his normal hair.
It must be a wig. I mean, there's no other way you could do that.
Unless
you can't
it's
cut it back and forth.
bad.
Maybe that's all it is it's just kind of saying, because he has a part. So you're right. They could tease it and bring it forward and stuff. But it looks good.
Yeah.
In that it doesn't look good, and that's great.
Yeah.
I like that Selina at the end is immediately onto "you're not acting right."
Yeah.
But like, this is one of those surprisingly convincing times where, because it's not like the Clayface thing, right?
No.
Where a person is immediately questioning it and then still believes that's that person because he's 13 and he's experimenting with his identity.
Well, and she's going with it because I think it's what she kind of always wanted.
That's a good point too. Sure.
It's that he's kind of bucking his responsibilities now for all that, and he's being a little bit of a bad boy.
But when you're a kid, maybe
he drives the car there.
Maybe kids don't always pick up on what other kids are doing, and that this is a thing that's about development. Mm-hmm. But kids emulate people, and they try different things. And Bruce Wayne very much
he's been hanging out with Jim Gordon.
Doesn't know exactly who he is and who he wants to be, and she knows that about him. And that's one of the things that sometimes drives her crazy about him, because she thinks she's got herself all figured out.
Could you imagine the therapy bills that Bruce Wayne is going to have? This version of Bruce Wayne is going to have, because all Bruce Waynes will have therapy bills.
Yes,
but this one,
well, no, they won't, because they will refuse to go.
But this one...
It's not like the Huntress and Birds of Prey. They're not going to go.
But this one... Well, that was court appointed.
That's true.
This one
it wouldn't matter
particular...
with Bruce Wayne if it was court appointed.
He'd just buy it off.
That's what I was going to say.
No, this one in particular is going to have even more therapist bills, because Gordon is kind of a role model. Like, he's a male figure in his life that I think he early on looked up to and saw as somewhat of a father figure. How does that affect you?
It's a really good point, and now he's gone so far off the reservation. So let's put a pin in that and talk about the whole Gordon thing in a second. After I ask you the question I asked you while we were watching the show,
okay.
that we were both asking, which is why Gordon, or why Alfred is training Five.
Yeah, it's the first thing they do. The second thing. They give him food, and then he's, like, boxing with Alfred, and they're, like, full-on contact boxing. Like, he decks Alfred, and Alfred decks him back.
As far as I noticed, unless I'm missing something,
yeah, we might
there's
just
never... It's possible, but there's never any... that's the problem with watching this together, is sometimes we'll say things and we'll miss something. Yeah. But, like... But I feel the need to admit that.
Well, sometimes and that's a problem with this show, is sometimes they have one line that explains things and you just miss it.
Yeah, and they'll do things that are so like preposterous and hilarious that, like, you'll laugh through dialogue because it's so
that
funny.
happened a couple of times this episode.
Oh yeah. But the reason that scene is there is to manufacture a reason to get 3 pieces of information about him in 45 seconds. Mm-hmm. One of them is he doesn't feel pain.
Yep.
One of them is he's got a scar on his back from which isn't information for us, but really because I think we've seen that with those experiments maybe.
I don't know.
But I mean, like, that's not surprising. It's something.
No.
It's something to do with those experiments. But he's But other people have been brought back from the dead. He's actually a clone, so maybe that is information we didn't have. I don't know. But it's that.
Maybe he's a murdered clone that they brought back from the dead.
That's great. It's the scar. It's that he doesn't feel pain, and then it's that he seems to know how to fight somehow.
Mm-hmm. And he says he doesn't know where he learned that from.
And I don't think he's lying about anything. I feel like he is as clueless as he's acting.
Yeah, well, based on how based on how Hugo Strange was like brainwashing Gallivant and theoretically brainwashing the other inmates. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's irrational. Like he's just like it's like the Matrix is just it's downloaded in his brain.
Yeah, and he's just a child who was literally born yesterday.
Yeah.
So anyway, that whole scene was obnoxious, and I mean, like, this show does that kind of stuff, and it's convenient all the time, and I get that that we've decided it's a cartoon and it's Power Rangers, but like, I wanted to know why they were fighting. Yeah. I don't know what standards to hold this show to, but that bothered me.
Yeah, no, that was kind of out of nowhere, and seemed like they staged the scene that way just so that we could get the information that we get, or they could get the information that they get. And the not feeling pain thing is kind of interesting because he's super interested in Selina. Can he also not feel pleasure? Like, does he not feel anything?
Yeah.
I think that could be a problem.
They'll probably do some kind of a he's not really human thing with all that.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why we probably can't do the crazy thing that you were predicting or kind of half-heartedly predicting that
Bruce Wayne dies and 5 becomes Bruce Wayne. I think it's more likely now because how do you explain Batman other than Batman doesn't feel pain?
But I think it's more likely that what they'll do. Yeah, but you don't want that because Batman has to have humanity in him. What I think.
No, I agree.
Yeah,
but this is Gotham.
I know that, but I think even that what this show is more likely to do is to play it up for, and I don't know how much they will and if this will be interesting, but to play it up as a parallel or a mirror thing where Bruce starts to see some of himself in him. Mm-hmm. So like because he's been played as kind of I won't say understated is not the right word, but like stoic, and like he's like trying to refuse to feel very much himself and all of that. And so this is like the Bruce Wayne, maybe where they'll go is this is the Bruce Wayne that he thinks he wants to be, and he realizes that he can't be that because if you don't have, if you're out of touch with your humanity, you can't help people.
Maybe.
I think that's where I would go with that, and I don't know if this will do that, but I do think that even for this show, it's too extreme to imagine that we pull a Clone Saga and or what the Clone Saga was supposed to be, and that the clone ends up being the real Bruce Wayne. I don't think they'll go there.
It could happen.
But it could happen, sure.
Gordon's actor is saying that he may become another character, and
I can't believe they let him say that. But more and more, I'm seeing that is I feel like the actor knows that, Mackenzie, and going through the show, he is playing up the gruff Batman voice and all of that more and more because he's kind of letting the audience know that he's not the Jim Gordon that we thought he was. The real question is, who's the real Jim Gordon?
No, I think he's still the real Jim Gordon. I think he becomes someone and he goes back. I think he gets better. I think that's how they play it. I don't think they do the Smallville Jimmy Olsen thing. I think he becomes another character and then gets fixed.
Can I suggest something absolutely insane?
That he's Two-Face?
No, that he's we can't do that because we're
not using Harvey Dent.
I know, but we made too big of a deal when we brought Harvey Dent in of the duality thing. We just would not stop shooting him in shadow with half his face. How long was Hugo Strange doing experiments?
I don't know.
Because if it was for a long time, this Jim Gordon could be a clone of the real Jim Gordon or something.
That's possible.
But he doesn't have superpowers. And they seem to all have superpowers. But this Bruce Wayne doesn't, that we know of. Well, what if this Bruce Wayne has superpowers? Of some kind. We just don't know what they are yet.
He at least has no pain powers.
Well, that's true. But I don't know if that'll end up like playing as a power or not.
Alternate theory?
Okay. I don't know if that's a good theory. I don't think Hugo Strange was...
Jim Gordon...
No, Hugo Strange couldn't have been working on that stuff that long because we didn't even have Arkham Asylum at the beginning of the show.
That's true.
So that's not positive, unless he was working on stuff somewhere else. I don't know.
But alternate... Well, and he was.
Yeah.
That Something Hill
Oh yeah, well, of course, sure. I just don't know if he was that far along in his experiment.
We're still with Clayface. And we stay with Clayface through the whole season, then we find out that he's...
But he can't... Okay, A, he can't be that good at it.
He got better.
Okay, but B, we're still...
And there's like 6 Clayfaces, maybe it's someone else that they gave the same powers.
Here's the problem with that, though. Even if that's the case, it doesn't fix the fact that this Jim Gordon is not Jim Gordon. Because it still happens too late. It's still after he kills Gallivant and all of that. They have to do what they seem to be maybe doing in take. And this is why I don't know if you're right that he'll turn out to be that it'll be he's Jim Gordon as another Batman character who becomes the real Jim Gordon later. Mm-hmm. I don't know how you come back from him compromising himself or compromising his morality as much as he has and straight up murdering Gallivant. It doesn't matter that Gallivant came back from the dead. He's a murderer.
Okay,
he can't be the real Jim Gordon later. We can't. They know we can't sympathize with him on the level we used to. That's why he's a bounty hunter now.
But there are so many characters in this show where I'm like, I don't understand how they get to the point that I know that they have to be for Batman to exist.
But I think they screwed up and they've accidentally gone too far and they know it.
That might be.
And I think retroactively they're going to find some other way to bring in the real Jim Gordon. Maybe not. But you know what's really weird? The only person they haven't really... Maybe not the only person, maybe that's hyperbole, but like one of the only characters that seems like really consistent all the way through to what they are in the comics that you don't have to do anything to as long as you don't screw them up is Harvey Bullock.
Yeah.
He's still just Bullock.
Yeah. I thought that was a given. Like, we've always known he's always been the best part of the show, or the most consistent part of the show.
No, I know. I just feel the need to mention it again
because... And he's barely in this episode, and it's a crime.
Yeah, but the longing look that he gives the empty chair is great.
I really wish that when...
That's so funny.
That when Jim walked away, he was like, Jim, we never talk anymore. Because he has that expression on his face when Jim walks away. It is that we never talk anymore face.
You have all these platonic romances where if certain couples, of friends... Mm-hmm. Like odd couples.
Yeah.
Break up. I'm gonna be 100 times more upset.
Yeah.
Like I said with Penguin and Riddler, because they're the same way. I feel bad that they're not together right now.
Yeah.
This show needs to stop doing romances. It's so much better. This is not a word I would usually use on the channel.
Bromance.
This is not a me word, but I'm gonna say it here. The show should just stay with the bromances. It's better at them.
Yeah. No, it's way better at them, and I think it's better at them because they don't realize they're doing them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just how they've naturally kind of brought these characters together and how they're writing them. The second they realize that it's a relationship they can manipulate for drama, it's gonna fall apart.
Then they'll force, they'll force that drama. But you know that's gonna happen with Riddler and Penguin. Riddler and Penguin will break up this year.
I know, it's gonna be a bummer. I'm real sad.
I'm
excited that we this quickly got them together. I didn't know how long it was going to take to get Riddler out of Arkham. I knew it was going to happen. I didn't know how quickly.
I don't know why this popped in my head. Can I say something ridiculous I just thought of? We have a character in this show, and I guess this ends up being kind of the same thing in the comics, but I just never thought of this, except that we never shortened Leslie Tompkins to Lee before. We have a character in the show named Lee, 2 characters named Harvey, and a character named Oswald. I just feel the need to throw that out there.
Wait, but there's another one.
That you have Lee Harvey Oswald when you put I just think that's really funny.
There's another one. She's Lee.
Uh-huh.
She was dating Jim Gordon.
Uh-huh.
They are Jim Lee.
Jim Lee, yep. You got Jim Lee. You have Lee Harvey Oswald Cobblepot. Mm-hmm. I just want to throw that out there real quick. There's a conspiracy in there somewhere.
They're trying to tell us something.
I don't know why.
Rupert's still alive and he's making this show.
Yeah, and there have been these
which would explain everything.
There's these really subtle, every episode references to shoes that none of us have ever noticed, but that motif continues through, and we just don't know where it is because they mask it so well. So shiny shoe.
So we do have to finally talk about Jim Gordon.
About Lee. Yeah, and all of that, and this silly love triangle we've started. So speaking of conveniences, and I was just going to list them, but here's another one. We've got suddenly Falcone shows back up. And
oh no, that's not what's convenient. What's convenient?
Oh no, I know.
Okay.
I'm just this is
Okay,
me setting
this is another
the stage.
Okay.
And then yeah. So no. Falcone showing up is not the thing that is convenient. It's just oh yeah, and Falcone. I forgot about him. There he is. Finally got him back. They must not be in Gotham because he is excommunicated from Gotham.
Or this is him being back? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure where they are. Now that I'm thinking about it during this. But anyway, so
I assumed it was Gotham because both of those characters are now in Gotham.
Yeah. Yeah, but wasn't he run out? Like he's not allowed to be in Gotham, and he's like
But
in
who run him out? Is that person still in charge? I don't remember. Was it Fish Movie that runs him out?
It was Penguin.
Oh, was it Penguin?
Wasn't it? It's been a while.
Remember.
It's been a while. So
I don't remember.
So anyway, no, the super convenient thing, of course, is that she just happens to be dating his son.
Engaged to
already.
Yep.
That she met in a different state.
At least another city.
Not going by, who's not going by, well, in Gotham is kind of its own city-state, so that's a moot point. It is a different state.
Okay.
But, right, like, but if it's not in Gotham, but anyway, and he's going by a different name, and then she finds out, I think she finds out now, and he's, the person I'm engaged to is Falcone, so, like, how does she not immediately go, I don't know if I want to
Well, and what was great was the scene starts with him complaining to her about like withholding something about like Jim Gordon, and then his dad shows up.
Drops this bombshell.
Yeah,
I
don't care.
I don't either, but I did kind of like the whole. The guy who plays Falcone is so good.
No, he's great,
and I really like his whole thing about how they like it makes him more likable. That he and his wife raised a kid that they wanted to be totally outside of the business, and they hoped that he would go make a legitimate life for himself, and he has, and he's really proud of him, and like I thought all that was kind of cool. Well, it makes me slightly more interested in this character.
Well, but here's the thing: the only way to go now, there are two ways.
I'm not saying there's any legs. I just liked that scene.
Well, but there's only two ways to go now, or I can only see two ways of going forward with this character. One is we just do The Godfather, where it is the son that was raised outside of the family has to now take control of the family. That is the one option.
And then she's stuck in the middle where now she's going to have to be in the life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The other option is that he dies and somehow that makes Falcone do something. I don't know. That's the other option.
Don't you figure Gordon at some point somehow finds out that that's who that is? And then he loses his mind about it.
Well, and
Falcone has a warning about that whole thing.
If we take anything else from The Godfather, if he beats her like that guy does in The Godfather to his wife, Gordon's gonna murder him. Because Gordon already said, if you hurt her, I will kill you.
Yeah, and this is a guy who, even though he refused to kill someone in the first episode, because he was all optimistic and idealistic and all of that, which he lost pretty darn fast, he doesn't bluff. This is a guy who will just straight up murder you.
If you make his ex feel bad.
Do you know how badly I wanted him to say that line while the guy was
stitching
sewing up
him?
his head?
Yeah. Yeah. Because he's a doctor.
Yeah.
That's the thing. They're both doctors.
And Lee maybe coming back and going into the precinct. You really thought she wasn't going to still be a regular.
I did. I really didn't. Because she was in Deadpool. She's a big movie star now. She doesn't have to come do this peasant show.
We have this theory that this is what she's doing in the interim.
Yeah, it's the same character.
While Deadpool is going off trying to kill...
After Deadpool goes away for...
Trying to kill Francis.
So in between Gotham season 2 and 3, she leaves, dates Deadpool, he goes away for his cancer treatment. Now Gotham season 2 is taking place. This is all Gotham season 3 is now taking place.
Yeah.
You're getting to see the scenes that aren't in Deadpool of what she's doing while Deadpool is becoming Deadpool. And then she will leave and re-enter the Deadpool film and cut her hair again. That's how this all works.
This show is made by the real heroes here. So, anything else we want to talk about right now?
I don't think so. I think we hit everything.
For what this show has turned into, This is a pretty solid episode.
This is a great episode.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it's Mad Hatter.
But I was entertained all the way through.
I don't care about the Bruce stuff.
No, I
don't care about the Gordon Lee stuff, but I'm at least entertained by it because Gordon's insane.
Because he's nuts. I love how you actually enjoyed the barber stuff this episode just because it's with the Mad Hatter stuff.
And it's just so much fun.
Well, and it's fun that she at least still has her nutso personality while she's hypnotized. It's like, this is what she would do.
Yeah, no, I think that's hilarious. I'm telling you, man, she's the Joker. When we get to the end of this show, she's the Joker.
I want that with the show.
That'd be awesome.
I think that's fine.
Yep.
But see, there's another thing. If I'm right, and like, I don't know. I just don't know where.
It would be real weird
if I'm right,
that there's a Jim Gordon who dated a Barbara who is not Jim Gordon or Barbara.
Yeah, and then we have a Jim Gordon
and he has to marry a Barbara,
or at the very least, name a daughter that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, independently of all this.
Mm-hmm. And that'd be real weird if... Man, the Killing Joke is really weird in this universe when Barbara murders Barbara or cripples Barbara.
Didn't you say, and this wasn't on camera, didn't you say when we were talking about this last week that you don't think this show is above time travel?
I don't think this show's above time travel. I don't know if we said that on camera. I think that was just us discussing what we think is too far for the show.
If it's not... then that fixes everything. They could do anything they want to.
It ends with the Voyager finale?
Well, that's not really what the Voyager finale is, but because that's like years later you see an alternate future where things are hunky dory, and then they go back to the present day where we are, and then they get them home real quick.
Oh, okay.
That's what it is. It's not they changed the whole show or anything.
Oh, I always thought that's what it was. That was the reputation
no.
I always got from it.
No, that's not what it is. It's just they conveniently go back to the episode where we are in season 7 and they get us home.
Oh, okay.
And it's
that's
Janeway.
A terrible ending.
Oh, it's really bad. And it's Janeway being all selfish, and she doesn't care about all of the families that have been created since they got back home and everything. It's not a post-apocalyptic future. It's just friends of hers died, and she doesn't even try to go back further to save any of the other people that died during the show. Anyway, not to talk about Voyager,
which I've never seen
too much. But anyway, I'm not suggesting that they would that they would do a Newhart thing. And say like the whole, and retroactively change the entire show. I'm just saying that although I could see Gotham being a dream, I could see it totally doing the Newhart thing. But
this is all in Bruce's father's head as he's dying.
That's hilarious. But what if there's like I don't know. If they can do time travel, they can do alternate dimensions. That's all I'm saying.
I don't think they can do alternate dimensions.
You don't think so?
No, I think that's too far. I think they can do time travel. I don't think they can do alternate dimensions. I think that's too far. I don't know why, but in my brain, those are two different lines, and they can cross one, but not the other.
It's just that time travel...
I think if they do Clock King's a time traveler.
It's just that... and I would love that. But like, time travel and alternate dimensions are so interconnected, and it's really easy to look at time travel as creating new dimensions. And I'm just saying, like, I don't think they'll do this, but it would be an easy out where you just pull in a Gordon from another universe or something. I could see them going there. I mean, I guess I can't see them going there.
Yeah, I don't see them going there.
Well, anyway, I have no idea how they get Gordon out of this, he's kind of a murderer pit. And
now he's just leaned into being a murderer pit. Like
he's not going around murdering people. He's not trying to kill people, but he's about to.
He will kill people if it calls for it. He no longer has like a code, really.
No, he doesn't. And that's what makes him not Jim Gordon.
But it makes him really entertaining to watch.
Oh, sure. But that's why we get into this really weird thing now with Bruce Wayne where he's not that role model anymore. Like you were saying, like it's not just a matter of therapy bills. I don't know how that kid becomes Batman at this point.
I don't know. At some point, we're going to ship him off, and he's going to learn everything he needs to know off-screen in other countries.
I mean, I'm not saying that Jim Gordon is really necessarily required for Bruce Wayne to be, what we think of as Batman.
But how we were setting it up in the show. It felt like it was.
Is not what we're doing now.
No.
I mean, they've abandoned that. And
when was the last time they were on screen together?
Yeah, like a couple episodes ago.
Was it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think they already have been this season. Yeah, I think in the first episode he shows up at the manor for some reason. I can't remember.
Oh, okay.
I might be mistaken.
I thought the last time they hung out was when they, because they hang out. I thought the last time they hung out was
when they put together that crazy group of people you never thought you'd see go in to infiltrate something.
Yeah, no, not that. The fallout of that, where they're all getting yelled at by the police chief.
Yes, that was great, including this 13-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Where he's like, and you stop taking the law in yours. And he's like, oh, if only you could see what it's like 10 years from now, pal, because he's going to be running this city. Oh, God, I loved the superhero team of, like, Jim Gordon and Lucius Fox and Alfred Pennyworth and
13-year-old Bruce
Harvey
Wayne.
Dent and 13-year-old Bruce Wayne. And, yeah, it was great. I can't remember who else was there.
I don't think Harvey Dent was there.
No, Bullock.
Yeah, it was Bullock.
I think Bullock was. No, maybe he wasn't. I thought he was there.
I don't think it's Dent because it's.
If I said Dent, I misspoke. I meant Bullock.
Okay.
But I think Bullock's maybe there.
I think.
But anyway, that whole and Lee was there.
Yeah.
If memory serves.
Yeah. No. That's after she leaves.
I don't think it is.
I think it because that's near the end of season 2.
Yeah, but she leaves right at the end.
No, she leaves earlier.
Does she?
Oh,
I don't remember now. I thought she was there. I thought she was in that whole thing though.
No,
because I also thought
I have that whole
rant. We got a Leslie Tompkins.
I have that whole rant about how long it's been
I wasn't
since
reviewing
she
the show
left.
at that point.
Because she leaves at one point, and then it's been like forever since she left. But it was like a previous episode. It's a whole thing.
Yeah,
I think she.
I gotta look into that because I don't know. I don't remember if you're right about that. I kind of think it's later than you're thinking.
I thought she left like mid-season finale.
No,
a little bit later. Or I mean, like right around that. She's not. I don't think she's there for Mr. Freeze. I don't think she's. I might be wrong.
We'll look it up.
Okay.
Well, everybody, thanks a lot for watching. We sure appreciate it. We'll see you again next week for more Gotham. And in the meantime, I am Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
Thanks for watching.